Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dan Oweiler from Sterling Financial. And of course, he is here to tell us about some interesting things for our retirement.
Hello, Lisa.
Well, Dan, thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
How are you surviving the heat?
Yes, because I'm in air conditioning.
They're better than most of us then.
Well, when you're inside all day.
That's right. But luckily, I actually purchased solar on my house a couple of years ago, and now I can run my air conditioning all day, and that doesn't cost.
Nice. I know. Then you're not paying those horrible fees that they all seem to do. So there's a couple of things for our retirement regarding taxes.
Well, I always have people asking me about the tax law proposals that are coming down the pipeline, so I thought it might be good to talk about some of those today.
Sure, go right ahead.
Well, the things that are making news are three things. One is the top tax rate going up. Right now, the top tax bracket is about 37%, and they want to raise that to around 40%. But the thing about it is, and it may not impact many of us because that top tax bracket right now is like $632,000, but they want to lower that to 500. So you're going to be impacted on that, Lisa. So.
Well, that was a good try, Dan.
No, but they want to lower the bracket or the income down to 500,000, so more people will be paying the top bracket. That could or couldn't. It's not a big issue, but the other two are really strong points that people have big opinions about, and that is, first is the capital gains rate. President Biden has said they want to reward people who work, not people with wealth. And the capital gains rate right now, the top bracket is 20%, and he wants to double that to 40%.
Oh boy.
And so he says only the wealthy have capital gains because they have lots of stocks and things like that. So he wants them to pay the same amount on their capital gains that they do on their income taxes, which penalizes people for investing and getting long-term capital gains. But he says, I want to reward the people that are working rather than the people that are wealthy. Well, that's going to be a disincentive for businesses to invest in investments and things like that, people to go out and invest in real estate or their stocks and bonds or whatever it is. And so those are some pretty massive changes in regards to the capital gains rate.
Now, capital gains also apply to home sales.
That's correct.
So I think it must have been the last year and a couple of years. It was, if you made more than $500,000 equity once you sold your home, then you needed to pay taxes on that, capital gains tax.
For a couple. That's for a
couple. That was for a couple, right? Okay.
So
okay.
A single is 250,000. So
okay.
If you made more than 250,000, you would have to pay capital gains. But if you invested it into another house, you bought a house or something like that, you didn't have to do that if you're in the same county. Okay, so if I move from, let's say, Laguna Hills down to San Clemente, I'm still in Orange County, so I don't have to worry about that because it's where you're investing outside of where you're moving from that you get hit with those capital gains rate and the new real estate tax.
Right, but that's only if it was over that certain amount. Now what you're saying,
500,000, like you said.
Right, but now what is that going to be the same then with this new capital gains percentage?
Well, it is. You still have the 250 and 500 if you're married. You still have that for your house, but if you get bumped up into that, and if you're taking more than that, it's not unusual to have that in today's market. You know, you could have bought a house in, the 70s, and when you retire, it's now worth, $1 million.
Right.
And you've got $600,000 of capital gains. You have 500,000 as a couple. That means you have to claim $100,000 of capital gains on your taxes at 40%. that's $40,000 of taxes that you would have in that. And so in today's market here in Southern California, it's not hard to get bumped into that problem. And so that's causing, a lot of businesses in the stock market in general of being a little bit cautious if they're going to raise that capital gains rate. Because if you buy a stock and it goes up 100% and you got some capital gains, you're going to be taxed twice as much as you are on regular. It's just not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing, and especially if people who are working hard and, let's say they're currently in a particular level, and then
Right.
they've done such a great job in over the years that now they're getting more money, they get promotions, and maybe they bought a different house and then they sold it, just because how lucky of that lucky. Then
Right.
they get
The market has made it go up.
right, right, and then they get penalized. So it's kind of like,
Exactly.
what do you have to look forward to?
Well, I'm glad that it went up, not down, but at the same time, but that is a big thing. But the other thing that's causing a lot of issues is what they call the stepped up on basis at death. So let's assume that my parents bought a house for $50,000 when they were young, lived in their house all their life, and they sold it for $600,000. Or when they die, the house is worth $600,000. Under current law, that $600,000 becomes your new cost basis. So children could sell the house, not have any capital gains on that, and walk away with the $600,000 without being taxed. That's under current law.
Okay.
They want to do away with the stepped up basis. And so that means that the new basis wouldn't be stepped up to $600,000. They would have to sell a house, pay $550,000 of capital gains, and at the new rate, that would be $225,000 of tax. So a lot of my clients have held stocks over time. They've held stocks for 10, 15, 20 years. They've accumulated a lot of top stock portfolio and a lot of capital gains on that. When they pass away, that stock portfolio right now can be sold without any tax consequences. Under the new proposal, they're saying the kids or the heirs are going to have to pay a lot of taxes on the stock portfolio because they're going to assume the stock basis of when the parents bought that. So there's going to be a lot of bloodshed going on in regards to Congress and things like that. So those are the two big issues: the capital gains and the stepped up in basis. I don't think the stepped up in basis is going to ever pass. That's just my opinion.
Oh, I can't imagine anyone.
But it's going to cause a lot of tax problems, and we are going to need to look at some estate planning features in regards to that if it does, because life insurance is going to be much more needed to pay for those taxes and things like that. So
Exactly.
Congress, it makes it, Congress sometimes make it sound good. Hey, they need to quote unquote pay their fair share or whatever it is. Well, people are taxed to death right now. Every time you turn around, you're paying property taxes, sales tax, gas tax, income tax, capital gains tax, and now Congress has learned that people don't like the word taxes, so they call them fees. I mean, I have shared this experience before in my seminars. My wife and I went over to Hawaii earlier this year, and we paid more in airport fees for our rental car than we did for the rental car itself. And so, it's crazy, how you pay bed taxes. And I mean, we're just taxed to death right now. And you can't blame people for wanting to avoid, there's nothing wrong with avoiding taxes. It's evading taxes that you run into problems on. If I use the tax law and the tax code to lower my taxes, there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But people in Congress, whether it's one party or the other, one party seems to be more concerned about it than the other, but they get concerned that the wealthy aren't paying their fair share. Well, 80% of the people are considered wealthy and they're paying taxes, and so it's, 20% of the people are wealthy and they're paying 80% of the taxes.
Right. That's what I thought you were gonna say, because I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that does.
Well, we're not all wealthy like you, Lisa.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not at all. So funny you should say that. But yeah, it is, you're right. We feel like we're being taxed all the time. And I think what's most concerning is the one that you mentioned, where it's the step up, because, isn't that considered inheritance?
Yeah, it's an inheritance, and prior to under current law, an individual can give up. I think it's gone up to $11 million right now. So
Okay.
a couple can actually give 22 million. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Parents can actually give $22 million to their heirs without any taxes.
Okay.
Well, if the stepped up in basis comes into play, that's going to create a mess, and it's unfair, really, because they paid taxes all of their life on all of their earnings and everything, and now they want to tax it when it goes to the kids. So, government officials are always looking to find new ways to get income, and unfortunately, it keeps coming on the back of us.
Well, this is right. I mean, we've spent an awful lot of money over the last couple of years to help offset things that have happened in our, world with COVID. And we're finding prices have increased incredibly across the board for everything that we're doing, as well as now they're finding ways to pay that back. And unfortunately, we're all going to be paying that price.
Well, the unfortunate thing is they're still giving away free money.
Yes.
And that's what's unfortunate is it's, if California has a budget surplus, they shouldn't be giving the money away free. They should be lowering taxes, but that's unheard of in today's political environment. But
exactly,
it's just unfortunate that these things are coming down the pipeline, and if they pass, it's going to be pretty brutal on all of us.
Right. Well,
not just us. The money that we are passing down, I've been in this business for 35, 40 years, and the longer I'm in this, the more clients I have pass away, and that money going from one generation to the other, it's like $3 or $4 trillion, and the government looks at that and their mouth starts to drool, and so it's unfortunate.
Well, I'm sure that our residents will be able to look to you for information regarding this. So we thank you for the information, and we will see you next time.
Hey, good to talk with you, Lisa. We'll keep our fingers crossed about these changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And we'll be right back after this.